You guys like the arrows points? They like your points, arrows. How do you feel about that? Do you like them? Do you like being a symbol in the stream? I assume you do. 'Cause you're the best girl. Yeah. Eros is the best girl. Eros is always the best girl. Hello. 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 Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Many hellos. Many hellos. Here, Eros, I'll move my keyboard even further off the desk so you can sit there. Yes, I'm holding the water bottle because I need water. But I also don't see the point in having a table. Like, what's the point of having this giant table with only one water bottle on it? Maybe if I thought forward a little bit more, I could have had more stuff on the table, but I forgot. Anyways, my keyboard is literally like halfway off my desk because Eros is sitting right where my keyboard is. And it's hard to do anything when you have a cat on your keyboard. I'm really worried that she's gonna like step on the keyboard and turn off the stream or something. Press some magic shortcut keybind that turns off the stream. Anyways, you guys ready for story time? I've got literally. Oh, you're getting more comfy? I don't know how much farther I can move my keyboard off the desk without literally setting the keyboard on the ground. You don't care though, you're a cat. Okay, glad we could establish that. But yes, I've got 29 stories prepared in case we actually get through that many. I've been doing a lot of reading. A lot. Eos, you're so comfy. But yeah. Most of it was from the leftover stories that I had last time I had story time stream. I had read a lot of stories back then as well. But because last story time stream, we only got through one story. I still have a lot left over. But I think today I prepared like 19. So then there's like 10 from last time and 19 for today. Anyways, yeah. I'm not reading all of them today. I'm only reading for 2 hours. You guys can't hold me hostage forever. Only the allotted 2 hours. I'll be with you here with you guys until 5 a.m. EDT, American time. Stop trying to put your paw on top of the keyboard. No, you guys can't hold me hostage. The only one who can hold me hostage is Eros. Because Eros is best girl. No, you guys would not be able to hold me hostage. I would just leave. Eventually I would leave. Anyways. I'm glad you guys like the Eros points. They're super cute. She's always best girl. I have cat fur on my face. I can literally feel it sticking to me. Ears. Something. It's something, let's say that. But yes, so you guys ready? You guys ready? I'm gonna first go to the stories that I had prepared for last time. So hopefully they don't have any slightly inappropriate words that I won't remember. I also won't be able to give you guys brains loading. I won't be able to give you guys like short summaries of the stories or teasers because I don't remember at least this set. Anyways, seems like everyone is ready. So the first story is, as you can read, hopefully, maybe possibly, I hope you can read, is the red shoes. You ready, Eros? You look like you're gonna go to bed. Good night, cat. Wipe more cat fur off my face. Oh, I forgot to take allergy medication. Oops. Anyways, the red shoes. Once upon a time, there was a little girl, pretty and dainty. But in summertime, she was obliged to go barefooted because she was poor. And in the winter, she had to wear large wooden shoes so that her little instep grew quite red. In the middle of the village lived an old shoemaker's wife. Wait, I feel like I read this. Aloud. Did I not? I guess not. I guess I just... Oh no, this reminds me of the little match. The little match salad, that's why. Okay, sorry. Breaking immersion. She sat down and made, as well as she could, a pair of little shoes made out of some old piece of cloth, of red cloth. They were clumsy, but she meant well, for they were intended for the little girl, whose name was Karen. Oh no, the beginnings of Karen! Oh no! Karen received the shoes, and wore them for the first time on the day of her mother's funeral. They were certainly not suitable for mourning, but she had no others, and so she put her bare feet into them and walked behind the humble coffin. Just then a large old carriage came by, and in it sat an old lady. She looked at the little girl and taking pity on her, said to the clergyman, "Look here. Look here. If you will give me the little girl, I will take care of her." Karen believed this was all on account of the red shoes, but the old lady thought them hideous, and so they were burnt. Karen herself was dressed very neatly and cleanly. She was taught to read and to sew, and people said that she was very pretty. But the mirror told her, "You are more than pretty, you are beautiful." One day the queen was traveling through that part of the country, and had her little daughter, who was a princess, with her. All the people, amongst them Karen as well, streamed towards the castle, where the little princess, in fine white clothes, stood before the window and allowed herself to be stared at. She wore neither a train nor a golden crown, but beautiful red Morocco shoes. They were indeed much finer than those which the shoemaker's wife had sewn for little Karen. There is really nothing in the world that can be compared to red shoes. Karen was now old enough to be confirmed. She received some new clothes, and she was asked to have some new shoes. The rich shoemaker in the town took the measure of her little foot in his own room, in which there stood great glass cases full of pretty shoes and white slippers. It all looked very lovely, but the old lady could not see very well, and therefore did not get much pleasure out of it. Amongst the shoes stood a pair of red ones, like those which the princess had worn. How beautiful they were! And the shoemaker said that they had been made for a count's daughter, but they had not fitted her. "I suppose they're of shiny leather?" asked the lady. "They shine so." "Yes, they do shine," said Karen. They fitted her and were bought. But the old lady knew nothing of their being red, for she would never have allowed Karen to be confirmed in red shoes, as she was now to be. 3 times faster? Oh, red shoes are faster. Guys are torts. But yes, unfortunately, I was thinking about it as I was reading. Sorry, more immersion breaking. I was thinking about it as I was reading, and I was like, imagine being a teenage age or early 20s person named Karen. Your peers would bully the heck out of you. You would get infinitely bullied. And that just feels bad. That is just a huge feels bad. Oh. Everybody looked at their feet, and the whole of the way from the church door to the choir it seemed to her as if ancient figures on the monuments, in their stiff collars and long black robes, had their eyes fixed on her red shoes. It was only of these that she thought, when the clergyman laid his hand upon her head and spoke of the holy baptism, of the covenant with God, and told her that she was now to be a grown-up Christian. The organ pealed forth solemnly, and the sweet children's voices mingled with that of their old leader. But Karen thought only of her red shoes. In the afternoon, the old lady heard from everybody. "Are you leaving?" "Okay, bye. Don't turn off the PC." Sorry. She's gone. My keyboard has now been shifted back onto the desk. What was I saying? Where was I? In the afternoon, the old lady heard from everybody that Karen had worn red shoes. She said that it was a shocking thing to do, that it was very improper, and that Karen was always to go to church in the future in black shoes, even if they were old. On the following Sunday, there was a communion. Karen looked first at the black shoes, then at the red ones, looked at the red ones again, and put them on. The sun was shining gloriously, so Karen and the old lady went along the footpath through the corn, where it was rather dusty. Oh, I remember this being kind of messed up. Who's turning out the PC? Alice is. She's climbing into a box now. But yeah, warning, this is about as gory as a fairy tale is gonna get without, being explicit. At the church door stood an old crippled soldier leaning on a crutch. He had a wonderfully long beard, more red than white, and he bowed down to the ground and asked the old lady whether he might wipe her shoes. Then Karen put out her little foot too.
"Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes,"
said the soldier.
"Sit fast when you dance,"
said he, addressing the shoes and slapping the soles with his hand. The old lady gave the soldier some money and then went with Karen into the church. And all the people inside looked at Karen's red shoes, and all the figures gazed at them. When Karen knelt before the altar and put the golden goblet to her mouth, she thought only of the red shoes. It seemed to her as though they were swimming about in the goblet. She forgot to sing the psalm, forgot to say the Lord's Prayer. Now everyone came out of the church, and the old lady stepped into her carriage. But just as Karen was lifting up her foot to get in too, the old soldier said,
"Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes,"
and Karen could not help it. She was obliged to dance a few steps. And when she had when she had once begun, her legs continued to dance. It seemed as if the shoes had got power over them. She danced round the church's corner, for she could not stop. The coachman had to run after her and seize her. He lifted her into the carriage, but her feet continued to dance, so that she kicked the good old lady violently. At last they took off her shoes, and her legs were at rest. At home, the shoes were put into the cupboard, but Karen could not help looking at them. Now the old lady fell ill, and it was said that she would not rise from her bed again. She had been nursed and waited upon, and this was no one's duty more than Karen's. But there was a grand ball in the town, and Karen was invited. She looked at the red shoes, saying to herself that there was no sin in doing that. She put the shoes on, thinking there was no harm in that either. And then she went to the ball and commenced to dance. When she wanted to go to the right, the shoes danced to the left. When she wanted to dance up the room, the shoes danced down the room, down the stairs, to the street, and out the gates of the town. She danced and was obliged to dance, far into the dark wood. Suddenly, something shone up among the trees, and she believed it was the moon, for it was a face. But it was the old soldier with the red beard. He sat there nodding his head and said,
"Dear me, what pretty dancing shoes."
She was frightened, and wanted to throw the red shoes away, but they stuck fast. She tore off her stockings, but the shoes had gone fast to her feet. She danced and was obliged to go on dancing over field and meadow, in rain and sunshine, by night and by day, but by night it was most horrible. She danced out into the open churchyard, but the dead there did not dance. They had something better to do than that. She wanted to sit down upon the pauper's grave where the bitter fern grows. For her, there was neither peace nor rest. And as she danced past the open church door, she saw an angel there in long white robes, with wings reaching from his shoulders down to the earth. His face was stern and grave, and in his hand held a broad, shining sword.
"Dance you shall,"
said he.
"Dance in your red shoes till you're pale and cold, till your skin shrivels up and you are a skeleton. Dance you shall from door to door, and where proud and wicked children live you shall knock, so they may hear you and fear you. Dance you shall, dance."
"Mercy!" cried Karen. That wasn't quite her voice, I'm sorry. But she did not hear what the angel answered, for the shoes carried her through the gate into the fields, along highways and byways, and unceasingly she had to dance. One morning she danced past a door she knew well. They were singing a psalm inside, and a coffin was being carried out covered with flowers. Then she knew that she was forsaken by everyone and damned by the angel of God. She danced and was obliged to go on dancing through the dark night. The shoes bore her way over thorns and stumps till she was all torn and bleeding. She danced over the heath to a little lonely house. Here she knew lived the executioner, and she tapped with her finger at the window and said, Come out, come out. I cannot come in, for I must dance. And the executioner said,
I don't suppose you know who I am. I strike off the heads of the wicked, and I notice that my axe is tingling to do so.
Don't cut off my head, said Karen, for then I could not repent of my sin, but cut off my feet with the red shoes. And then she confessed all her sin, and the executioner struck off her feet with the red shoes. But the shoes danced away with the little feet across the field into the deep forest. And he carved her a pair of wooden feet and some crutches, and taught her a psalm which is always sung by sinners. She kissed the hand that guided the axe, and went away over the heath. I almost said hearth. Now I have suffered enough for the red shoes, said she. I will go to church, so people can see me. And she went up to the church door, but when she came there, the red shoes were dancing before her, and she was frightened and turned back. During the whole week, she was sad and wept many bitter tears, but when Sunday came again, she said, Now I have suffered and striven enough. I believe I am quite as good as many of those who sit in church and give themselves airs. And so she went boldly on, but she had not got farther than the churchyard gate when she saw the red shoes dancing along before her. Then she became terrified and turned back, repenting right heartily of her sin. She went on to the parsonage, and begged that she might be taken into service there. She would be industrious, she said, and do everything that she could. She did not mind the wages, as long as she had a roof over her, and was with good people. The pastor's wife had pity on her, and took her into service. And she was industrious and thoughtful. She sat quiet and listened whenever the pastor read aloud from the Bible in the evening. All the children liked her very much. When they spoke about dress and grandeur and beauty, she would shake her head. On the following Sunday, they all went to church, and she was asked whether she wished to go too, but, with tears in her eyes, she looked sadly at her crutches. And the others went to hear God's word, but she alone went into her little room. This was only large enough to hold the bed and a chair. Here she sat with her hymn book, and as she was reading it with a pious mind, the wind carried the notes of the organ over to her from the church, and in tears she lifted up her face and said, Oh God, help me. Then the sun shone so brightly, and right before her stood an angel in white robes. It was the same one whom she had seen that night at the church door. He no longer carried a sharp sword, but a beautiful green branch, full of roses. With this, I just lost my spot. With this he touched the ceiling, which rose up very high. Where he had touched it, there shone a golden star. He touched the walls, which opened wide apart, and she saw the organ which was pealing forth. She saw the pictures of the old pastors and their wives, and the congregation sitting in the polished chairs and singing from their hymn books. The church itself had come to the poor girl in her narrow room, and the room had gone to the church. She sat in the pew with the rest of the pastor's household. When they had finished the hymn and looked up, they nodded and said, It was right of you to come, Karen. It was a mercy, said she. The organ played, and the children's voices in the choir sounded soft and lovely. The bright warm sunshine streamed through the window into the pew where Karen sat, and her heart became so filled with peace and joy, that it broke. Her soul flew on the sunbeams to heaven, and no one was there who asked after the red shoes. The end. She probably died from an infection. Just saying. Literally probably died in an infection. Doubt the executioner properly cleaned her wounds. Rest in peace, Karen. Rest in peace. Here's that story. Let me read chat. Is that me? Yes. That's me. That's me doing voice acting. I actually put effort into my story reading. Possessed by sin? Possessed by sin. Possessed by, lust and Sky! Hello, hello, hello! Thank you for the 4 months of Sky! Hello, hello, hello! Good morning! Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it ended. These are the original. These are, the original, story, fairy tales. Delicious. But These are the original fairy tales, which is why everything ends kind of badly sometimes. And way worse than I thought. I said at the beginning that it was going to be as gory as a non-detailed story was going to get. I was quite serious. I remembered like halfway through the story, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Well, maybe not halfway. I want to say like 1/4 of the way through. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. She gets her feet cut off. But I wasn't going to say that to chat. I didn't want to warn you guys though. You getting halfway through now that all you know is that she died from an infection? Well, I mean, yeah. If you get your feet cut off and they're not like properly cleaned, I don't think that you're gonna make it. Hi, what you doing, cat? Thanks for stepping on my toes. That was really nice of you. Where's my... I swear I had a... Do I not have a story list still? No, I don't. Okay. Anyways, yes. Will you plan to possess shoes? Couldn't stop dancing. Don't try to feed off. Became pendant. Guy was like, okay, you can come up here and down with me now? Yes. Is it true Saber's my favorite? Oh, of course. Of course. My PC's freaking out a little bit. There you go. Yes, Saber is, totally, oh, whoa. You guys can see it. Totally the best character. Totally. Such a good character. Yeah, I've never said anything bad about Saber ever. Ever. She's my favorite character. I don't know why you guys are that. Okay. Can I rename this? Maybe this will fix it. Yeah. It was a Aloud tab. Oh yeah, totally. Totally. I hope this fixes it. And I'm gonna have to like remake the whole list. I hope you guys can hear arrows climbing in the box. It didn't fix it. Okay. Oops. Go back. Go back. Okay. Hi, Nim. Hello. 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 Many hellos to you. Good morning. Did I do duplicate before? Or did I do reference? Sorry. Don't mind the words over my head. I'm trying to fix this. No, I didn't want to put that there, you dork. This is what I wanted to put there. No! Okay, we'll do this one in a tenant. But why are there two story lists? Oh, it's because this one's renamed. Anyways, why struggle? The next story that I'm gonna read is called The Jumper. The next story is called The Jumper. Why can't I rename this? PC, don't die. Uh-oh. Rest in peace, Streamlabs. Rest in peace. There we go. It's fixed itself then. You didn't expect the stream until you saw the notification on Twitter? Oh yeah, I was like, what am I saying? Yeah, I do every time, I can't attend the stream for some reason or other, usually because of... Whoa, what are you doing? Aha. Usually because of... Where am I? Usually because of like my PC failing itself. I ended up doing a story time stream. Stop lagging. I wonder why it's lagging. I'm gonna open up Task Manager. But yes. Yes. Every time there's a missed stream, I end up doing like a 3 AM story time stream. And I put everyone to bed. The reason why my PC is freaking out is because of Vast scanning. Heck you, Avast. Yeah, my PC can't handle fairy tales. You're playing the Arcadian campaign? I've only done like 5 out of 9 chapters. And to be honest, I don't think I was particularly impressed by them. I've been kind of put to sleep, unfortunately. So I've barely paid attention. You're gonna like to me? That's okay. Enjoy the liking. You didn't even get a notification on your phone? You just happened to check Twitch? I'm glad you guys are here then. I'm not sure why you guys aren't getting notifications, because I do have them enabled. But I'm glad you guys are here. Sleepy? Well, that's why I'm here. I'm here to put you guys to bed. Here to put you guys to bed. Wait, where's it? Ah, there it is. Okay. So the next story, as I said, is the jumper. I do not remember what the story is about. Could be about a grasshopper for as far as I know. Actually, I don't think I've read a story about a grasshopper yet. To be frank. Come on, you can do this. That's okay. To be fair, you were asleep 5 minutes ago? Why'd you wake up then? You woke up from stopping your mom? Should I ask further what you mean by... Oh yeah! Yui, how was Vegas? Yeah, how was the flight? Or drive? I don't know if you flew or if you drove. But I hope that it was a good... flight/drive. You need sleep? Well, that's what I'm here for. Hopefully. I seem like the type of person to put my cold feet on people under the blanket? Absolutely. Absolutely. I am the type of person that will get really cold fingers and then slap them on top of someone's neck. I'll like come up to my friends from behind and I'll stick my cold hands against their neck and they'll scream and I'll giggle. Because I am... terrible. I'm a terrible friend. And I find it funny when they shriek. Might be a little bit sus. You stopped her from stabbing someone, so you're just waiting to see if you're stepping again? I'm hoping that's an exaggeration, but that definitely sounds, way more important than literally anything else you could possibly be doing. So, in that regard, I definitely pay more attention to that. For sure. Definitely pay more attention to that. I don't even remember what the jumper is. Oh, actually it was about... Okay. You guys ready for the next story? It is quite literal. It is literally about jumping. Oh. Sorry, Sky. I'm like, your label is freaking out. It is quite literally about jumping. Literally. It can't be more about jumping than it could possibly be. Ready? Okay. The jumper. The flea, the grasshopper, and the skipjack once wanted to see which of them could jump the highest. And they invited the whole world, and whoever else would come to see the grand sight. And there the three famous jumpers were met together in the room.
Yes, I'll give my daughter to he who jumps the highest. For it would be mean to let these people jump for nothing.
The flea stepped up first. He had very pretty manners, and bowed in all directions. For he had young lady's blood in his veins, and was accustomed to consort only with human beings, and that was of great consequence. Then came the grasshopper. He was certainly much heavier, but he had a good figure, and wore the green uniform that was born with him. This person, moreover, maintained that he belonged to a very old family in the land of Egypt, and that he was highly esteemed there. He had just come from the field, he said, and had been put into a card house 3 stories high, and all made of pictured cards with the figures turned inwards. There were doors and windows in the house, cut in the body of the Queen of Hearts.
I sing so,
he said,
that 16 native crickets who have chirped from their youth up, and have never had a card house of their own, would become thinner than they are with envy if they were to hear me.
Both of them, the flea and the grasshopper, took care to announce who they were, that they considered themselves entitled to marry a princess. Skipjack said nothing, but it was said of him that he thought all the more, and directly the yard dog he had smelt at him, he was ready to assert that the skipjack was of good family, and formed from the breastbone of an undoubted goose. The old counselor, who had received 3 medals for holding his tongue, declared that the skipjack possessed the gift of prophecy, One could tell by his bones whether there would be a severe winter or a mild one. And that's more than one can always tell from the best bone of a man who writes the almanac. Say.
I shall not say anything more,
Said the old king.
I shall only go on quietly, and always think the best.
Now they were taken to their dump. The flea sprang so high that no one could see him, and they asserted that they asserted that he had not jumped at all. That was very mean. The grasshopper only sprang half as high, but he sprang straight into the king's face, and the king declared that was horribly rude. The skipjack stood a long time considering. At last people thought that he could not jump at all.
Our only hope. He has not become unwell,
said the yard dog. Then he smelt at him again. Tap! He sprang with a little crooked jump, just into the lap of the princess, who sat on a low golden stool. Then the king said,
The highest leap was taken by him who jumped to my daughter, for therein lies the point. It requires head to achieve that.
I'm going a little bit too deep.
And the skipjack had shown that he has a head.
And so he had the princess. I jumped highest after all, said the flea. But it is all the same. Let her have the goose bone with its lump of wax and a bit of stick. I jumped to the highest, but in this world a body is required if one wishes to be seen. And the flea went into the foreign military service, where they said he was killed. The grasshopper seated itself out in the ditch, and thought and considered how things happened in the world. And he too said, Bodies required! Bodies required! And then he sang his own melancholy song. And from that we have gathered this story, which they say is not true, though it's in print. I'm taking a drink. That was a little too much. That's it. That's the story. Yep, that's the story. Flea gets wrecked. Grasshopper can't control himself. And that's it. That's that. Both hands are satisfying? You sound crazy. You thought it was jumper like a sweater? I don't know if the term jumper was around in 1845. It may have been, but I'm not sure if they called jumpers by then. However, yes, I can see why you thought that. And me too, basically. Oh god, this is a really long title. It's the Jumping Olympics. Imagine the daughter marries a flea. I mean, why not? This is a fairy tale. You can marry anyone in a fairy tale. Right? Oh boy. I'm a voice actor? No, just well practiced. How do you spell Sheperdess? I thought that's how you spell Sheperdess. Pretty sure that's how you spell Sheperdess. Maybe not. I don't know. Kite house? Yes. Magic goose? Yes. Rest in peace, flea. Flea can flee in time? No. The flea's dead. Initially thought it'd be jumper, as in a time jumper or something. As far as I'm aware, Hans Christian Andersen hasn't actually written anything about. Oh no, he has a later story about kind of skipping through time, but that's neither here nor there currently. Gosh, it is such a long title. There are a lot of question marks in my head right now. Man, this is gonna be really hard to read. It still can't fit. Wait, just a little more to wait. But yes, the next story, as you can see by my struggling, is called The Sheperdess and the Chimney Sweep. I'm gonna change the text to black, I think. I mean, it's pretty. Might be a little bit easier to read. Maybe red. No, black's definitely pretty. Okay. Okay. Yes. Oh yeah, I gotta update the current list. The and story list. I don't know why the hiccups all of a sudden, but beg. Okay. What is this story? Oh. This was a weird story. It wasn't like weird as actually weird. It was just like, it felt like the story didn't have much of a point. I think it was kind of a strange story. You were sad when you missed the Smite stream? It's okay. I played exactly one game of Smite. I played one arena match. And the rest of it was me talking about my dreams and random rambling. And it was really like 15 minutes of actual Smite play. Something like that. I haven't actually checked the chapter list, but you really didn't miss out on much, honestly. If you were looking for actual Smite content, lucky for you, there was basically none. It was kind of a scam. I was too nervous to actually totally play it. I kind of avoided everything. And definitely hit it a little bit. There was a lot of hiding, I admitted it. It was a fun time. Shit. We'll call it that. Anyways, next story. I hope you guys are ready. You guys better be ready. The next story is The Sheperdess and the Chimney Sweep. This was also in 1845. What is that letter? Ah, it's an H. Have you ever seen an old wooden cupboard quite black with age and ornamented with carved foliage and curious figures? Well, such a cupboard stood in a parlor and had been left to the family as a legacy by the great-grandmother. It was covered from top to bottom with carved roses and tulips. The most curious skulls were drawn upon it, and out of them peeped little stags' heads with antlers. In the middle of the cupboard, there was the carved figure of a man most ridiculous to look at. He grinned at you, for no one could call it laughing. He had goat's legs, little horns on his head, and a long beard. The children in the room always called him Major General Field Sergeant Commander Billy's Goat's Legs. It was literally spaced like that. It was certainly a very difficult name to pronounce, and there are very few who ever received such a title. But then it seemed wonderful how he came to be carved at all. But there he was, always looking at the table under the looking glass, where stood a very pretty little shepherdess made of china. Her shoes were gilt. Her dress had a red rose or an ornament. She wore a hat and carried a crook that were both gilded and looked very bright and pretty. Close by her side stood a little chimney sweep, as black as coal, and also made of china. He was, however, quite as clean and as neat as any other china figure. He only represented a black chimney sweep, and the china workers might just as well have made him a prince, had they felt inclined to do so. He stood holding his ladder quite handily, and his face was as fair and rosy as a girl's. Indeed, that was rather a mistake. It should have had some black marks on it. He and the shepherdess had been placed close together, side by side, and being so placed, they became engaged to each other, for they were very well suited, being both made of the same sort of china, and being equally fragile. Close to them stood another figure, 3 times as large as they were, and also made of china. He was an old Chinaman, who could only nod his head, and used to pretend that he was the grandfather of the shepherdess, though he could not prove it. He, however, assumed authority over her, and therefore, when Major General Field Sergeant Commander Billy's Goat's Legs asked for the little shepherdess to be his wife, he nodded his head to show that he consented.
You will have a husband,
said the old Chinaman to her,
who I really believe is made of mahogany. He will make you a lady of Major General Field Sergeant Commander Billy's Goat's Legs. He has the whole cupboard full of silver plate, which he keeps locked in secret drawers.
I won't go into the dark cupboard, said the little shepherdess. I've heard that he has 11 wives there already.
Then you shall be the 12th,
said the old Chinaman.
Tonight, as soon as you hear a rattling in the old cupboard, you shall be married, as true as I am made of china.
And then he nodded his head and fell asleep. Then the little shepherdess cried and looked at her sweetheart, the chimney sweep. I must entreat you, she said.
To go out with me into the wide world, for we cannot stay here. I will do whatever you wish,
said the little chimney sweep.
Let us go immediately. I think I shall be able to maintain you with my profession.
If we were but safely down from the table, said she, I shall not be happy till we are really out in the world. Then he comforted her, and showed her how to place her little foot on the carved edge and gilt leaf ornaments of the table. He brought his little ladder to help her, and so they contrived to reach the floor. When they looked at the old cupboard, they saw it was all in an uproar. The carved stags pushed out their heads, raised their antlers, and twisted their necks. The Major General sprang up in the air and cried out to the Chinaman, They are running away! They are running away! The two were rather frightened at this, so they jumped into the drawer of the window seat. Here were 3 or 4 packs of cards, not quite complete, and a doll's theater which had been built up very nicely. Very neatly, sorry. A comedy was being performed in it, and all the queens of diamonds, clubs, and hearts and spades, that was some weird grammar, sat in the first row fanning themselves with tulips, and behind them stood all the knaves, showing that they had heads above and below as playing cards generally have. The play was about 2 lovers who were not allowed to marry, and the shepherdess wept because it was so like her own story. I cannot bear it, said she. I must get out of the drawer. When they reached the floor and cast their eyes on the table, there was the old Chinaman awake and shaking his whole body, till once he came down on the floor, plump. The old Chinaman is coming, cried the little shepherdess in a fright, and down she fell on one knee.
I have thought of something,
said the chimney sweep.
Let us get into the great potpourri jar, which stands in the corner. There we can lie on rose leaves and lavender, and throw salt in his eyes if he comes near us.
No, that will never do, said she, because I know that the Chinaman and the potpourri jar were once lovers, and there always remains behind a feeling of goodwill between those who have been so intimate as that. No, there is nothing left for us to go into the wide world.
Have you really courage enough to go out into the wide world with me?
Said the chimney sweep.
Have you thought how large it is, and that we can never come back here again?
Yes, I have, she replied. When the chimney sweep saw that she was quite firm, he said,
My way is through the stove and up the chimney. Have you courage to creep with me through the firebox and the iron pipe? When we get to the chimney, I shall know how to manage very well. We shall soon climb too high for anyone to reach us, and we shall come through a hole in the top out into the wide world.
So you led her up. So he led her to the door of the stove. It looks very dark, said she. Still, she went in with him, through the stove and through the pipe, where it was as dark as pitch.
Now we're in the chimney,
said he.
And look, there is a beautiful star shining above it.
It was a real star shining down upon them, as if it would show them the way. So they clambered and crept on. And a frightful steep place it was. The chimney sweep helped and supported her, till they got higher and higher. He showed the best places on which to set her little china foot, so at last they reached the top of the chimney, and sat themselves down, for they were very tired, as may be supposed. The sky, with all its stars, was over their heads, and below were the roofs of the town. Roofs? Question mark? They could see a very long distance out into the wide worlds, and the poor little shepherdess leaned her head on the chimney sweep's shoulder, and wept till she washed the gilt off her sash. The world was so different to what she expected.
This is too much, said she. I cannot bear it. The world is too large. Oh, how I wish I was safe back on the table, again under the looking-glass. I shall never be happy till I am safe back again. Now I have followed you out into the wide world. You will take me back if you love me.
Then the chimney sweep tried to reason with her, and spoke of the old Chinaman, and of the Major General Field Sergeant Commander Billy Goat's legs. But she sobbed so bitterly, and kissed her little chimney sweep till he was obliged to do as she asked, foolish as it was. And so, with a great deal of trouble, they climbed down the chimney, and then crept through the pipe and stove, which were certainly not very pleasant places. Then they stood in the dark firebox, and listened behind the door to hear what was going on in the room. As it was all quiet, they peeped out. Alas! There lay the old Chinaman on the floor. He had fallen down from the table as he attempted to run after them, and was broken into 3 pieces. His back had separated entirely, and his head rolled into a corner of the room. The Major General stood in his old place and appeared lost in thought.
"This is terrible,"
said the little shepherdess.
"My poor old grandfather is broken to pieces, and it is our fault. I shall never live after this."
And she wrung her little hands.
"He can be riveted,"
said the chimney sweep.
"He can be riveted. Do not be so hasty. If they cement his back and put a good rivets in it, he will be as good as new, and be able to say as many disagreeable things to us as ever."
"Do you think so?" said she, and then they climbed up to the table and stood in their old places.
"As we have done no good,"
said the chimney sweep,
"we might as well have remained here, instead of taking so much trouble."
"I wish grandfather was riveted," said the shepherdess.
"Will it cost much, I wonder?"
And then she had her wish. The family had the Chinaman's back mended, and a strong rivet put through his neck. He looked as good as new, but could no longer nod his head.
"You become proud since your fall broke you to pieces,"
said Major General Field Sergeant Commander Billy Goat's Legs.
"You have no reason to give yourself such airs. Am I to have her or not?"
The chimney sweep and the little shepherdess looked piteously at the old Chinaman, for they were afraid he might not, but he was not able to. Besides, it was so tiresome to be always telling strangers he had a rivet in the back of his neck. And so the little China people remained together, were glad of their grandfather's rivet, and continued to love each other till they were broken to pieces. The end. I'm very hungry for some reason. When am I going to be an anime voice actor? Applying for a voice acting job is very scary. It's a lot of work. And I don't think I'm not made for it. I prefer playing games than voice acting. I prefer being with you guys than voice acting. But thank you. We say I'm not 20 different people? Maybe. Probably not, though. Probably not. Can I turn the color back? There you go. 20 and 1. One very skilled angel cat. Thank you. Thank you. You guys are cute. Where is their story list? But yes. I can't remember now. The story was just kind of like a very roundabout way. I guess the story was about appreciating what you have, I suppose. Maybe I should type it like this. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be like that. Let's see how does this look. Oh. There you go. There we go. My voice has range. You mean it as well? Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate the compliment. Thank you. I have a lot of fun. Doing this. But usually it kills my voice. Especially when I'm like acting as an old man. And then I start coughing like earlier. Well, I guess no, that's a little bit more rare now. But thank you. The point is thank you. If I don't say thank you enough, then thank you. Okay. My Danish is pretty bad. So I'm going to murder a lot of pronunciations. So if you guys happen to know Danish or are Danish, I really apologize for the pronunciations that I'm about to do. Same with German. Many apologies. I assume it's like Holger Danske. I don't know. But it's gonna be something like Holger Danske. Something. I don't know. Don't look at me for a. I could probably like have Google read it aloud. Come to think of it. That's how it's typed, by the way. As far as I'm aware. Let's see. It should be Dansk or something. Maybe a little bit harder. Danske? Okay. It's Danske, I guess. Holger Danske. Feels like dancing skis. Dancing skis. The skis are dancing. The stuff we put on your feet are dancing. Anyways. Anyways, Danske. Holger Danske. If I remember right, the story is about, not a soldier, but I guess a soldier, of someone who will be there when the world is about to end. And he prevents, the world from falling apart, or something like that. It's not really spoilers, but I believe that's what it's about. I'm gonna take another drink. Are you guys ready for the next story? Because I hope you are. Maybe another drink. Need another drink. Black cherry is really good. Black cherry tastes very good. Okay. Anyways, Holger Danske. In Denmark, there stands an old castle named Kronenberg, close by the sound of Elsinore, where large ships, both English, Russian, and Prussian, pass by hundreds every day. And they salute the old castle with cannons, boom, boom, which is as if they say, "Good day." And the cannons in the old castle answer, boom, which means many thanks. In winter, no ships sail by, for the whole sound is covered with ice as far as the Swedish coast, and has quite the appearance of a high road. The Danish and the Swedish flags wave, and Danes and Swedes say good day and thank you to each other, not with cannons, with a friendly shake of the hand. They exchange white bread and biscuits with each other, because foreign articles taste the best. But the most beautiful sight of all is the old castle of Kronenberg, where Holger Danske sits in a deep, dark cellar, into which no. I don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry. Oh, I need to put that above. No, sorry. The answer is no. Like, my 1 year Spanish is not gonna give me any... Oh, that's the wrong one. My 1 year Spanish is not gonna give me anyway. But thank you for the follow. Thank you. Sorry to be a disappointment, but no. Thank you though. Thank you. Many thanks. I fixed the light box, so now it's not hidden. Where was I? He is clad in iron and steel, and rests his head on his strong arm. His long beard hangs down upon the marble table, into which it has become firmly rooted. He sleeps and dreams, but in his dreams he sees everything that happens in Denmark. On each Christmas Eve, an angel comes to him and tells him that all he has dreamed is true, that he may go to sleep again in peace, as Denmark is not yet in any real danger. But should danger ever come, then Holger Danske would lose himself. And then the table will burst asunder as he draws out his beard? Then he will come forth in his strength and strike a blow that shall sound in all the countries of the world. And an old grandfather sat and told his little grandson all about this, Holger Danske. And the boy knew that what his grandfather told him must be true. As the old man related his story, he was carving an image in wood to represent Holger Danske, to be fastened to the prow of a ship. For the old grandfather was a carver in wood, that is, one who carved figures for the heads of the ships, according to the names given to them. Now he had carved Holger Danske, who stood there erect and proud with his long beard, holding in one hand his broad battle-axe, while with the other he leaned on the Danish arms. Then the old grandfather told the little boy a great deal about Danish men and women who distinguished themselves in olden times, so that he fancied he knew as much as even Holger Danske himself, who, after all, could only dream. And when the little fellow went to bed, he thought so much about it that he actually pressed his chin against the counterpane, and imagined that he had a long beard which had become rooted to it. But the old actually, I'm gonna remind myself. Have you guys ever pressed your face against icy glass and how your face stuck to it a little bit? I feel like this is just me, but I swear as a kid I've done that before. Not the tongue, getting your tongue stuck sort of thing, but literally getting your face stuck to cold something or other. Cold steel, cold glass. I don't know, sorry, I feel like this is totally rushed forward thinking about it. Where was I? You have? Okay. Guys, it's not just me. But the old grandfather remained sitting at his work, and carved away at the last part of it, which was the Danish arms. And when he had finished, he looked at the whole figure and thought of all he had heard and read, what he had had that evening related to his little grandson. Then he nodded his head, wiped his spectacles, and put them on, and said, he hiccuped apparently, and said,
"Ah, yes, Holger Danske will not appear in my lifetime, but the boy who is in bed there may very likely see him when the event really comes to pass."
And the old grandfather nodded again, and the more he looked at Holger Danske, the more satisfied he felt that he had carved a good image of him. It seemed to glow with the color of life. The armor glittered like iron and steel. The hearts in the Danish arms grew more and more red, while the lions, with golden crowns upon their head, were leaping up.
"That is the most beautiful coat of arms in the world,"
said the old man.
"The lions represent strength, and the heart's gentleness and love."
And as he gazed upon the uppermost lion, he thought of King Canute, who chained, I don't know if it's Canute, I'm sorry, it's Canute, who chained great England to Denmark's throne. And he looked at the second lion and thought of Waldemar, who untied Denmark and conquered the Vandals. The third lion reminded him of Margaret, who united Denmark, Sweden, and Norway. When he gazed at the red hearts, their colors glowed more deeply, even as flames, and his memory followed in each turn. The first led him to a dark, narrow prison, in which sat a prisoner, a beautiful woman, daughter of Christian IV, Eleanor Ulfield, and the flame became a rose on her bosom, and its blossoms were not more pure than the heart of this noblest and best of all Danish women.
"Ah, yes, that is indeed a noble heart in the Danish arms,"
said the grandfather, and his spirit followed the second flame, which carried him out to sea, where the cannons roared and the ships lay shrouded in smoke. And the flaming heart attached itself to the breast of Hvitfeldt. I hope it's Hvitfeldt, but there's a lot of H's and T's in there. And the form of the ribbon of an order. And as he blew himself and his ship into the air in order to save the fleet. And the third flame led him to Greenland's wretched huts, where the preacher, Hans again, ruled with love in every word and action. The flame was as a star on his breast, and added another heart to the Danish arms. And as the old grandfather's spirit followed the next hovering flame, he knew whether it lead him to. In a peasant woman's humble room stood Frederick the Sixth, writing his name with chalk on the beam. The flame trembled on his breast and in his heart, and it was in the peasant's room that his heart became one for the Danish arms. The old grandfather wiped his eyes, for he had known King Frederick, with his silvery locks and his honest blue eyes, and had lived for him, and he folded his hands and remained for some time silent. Then his daughter came to him and said it was getting late, that he ought to rest for a while, and that supper was on the table.
"What have you been carving is very beautiful,"
said she.
"Holger Danske and the old coat of arms. It seems to me as if I've seen the face somewhere." "No, that is impossible,"
replied the grandfather.
"But I have seen it, and I tried to carve it in wood, as I retained it in my memory. It was a long time ago, while the English fleet lay in the roads, on the 2nd of April, when we showed that we were true ancient Danes. I was on board the Denmark, in Steenbill's squadron. I had a man by my side whom even the cannonballs seemed to fear. He sang old songs in a merry voice, and fired and fought as if he were something more than a man. I still remember his face, but from whence he came, or whither he went, I know not. No one knows. I have often thought it might have been Holger Danske himself, who swam down from Kronenberg to help us in the hour of danger. That was my idea, and there stands his likeness."
The wooden figure threw a gigantic shadow on the wall, and even on part of the ceiling. It seemed as if the real Holger Danske stood behind it, for the shadow moved, but this was no doubt caused by the flame of the lamp now burning steadily. Then the daughter-in-law kissed the old grandfather, and led him to a large armchair by the table. And she and her husband, who was the son of the old man and the father of the little boy who lay in bed, sat down to supper with him. And the old grandfather talked of the Danish lions and the Danish hearts, emblems of strength and gentleness, and explained quite clearly that there is another strength that which lies in a sword, and he pointed to a shelf where lay a number of old books, and amongst them a collection of Holberg's plays, which are much read and are so clever and amusing that it is easy to fancy you have known the people of those days, who are described in them.
He knew how to fight also,
said the old man,
for he lashed the follies and prejudices of people during his whole life.
Then the grandfather nodded to a place above the looking glass, where hung an why am I struggling so hard? Almanac. There we go. With a representation of the round tower upon it, and said, Tycho Brahe was another of those who... Wait. Oh, it's the grandfather.
Tycho Brahe was another of those who uses swords, but not one to cut into flesh and bone, but to make the way of the stars of heaven clear, and to be plain understood. And then he whose father belonged to my calling, yes, he, the son of an old image carver, he whom we ourselves have seen, with his silvery locks and his broad shoulders, whose name is known in all the lands, yes, he was a sculptor, while I am only a carver. Holger Danske can appear in marble, so that the people in all countries of the world may hear of the strength of Denmark. Now let us drink the health of Bertel.
But the little boy in the bed saw playing the old castle of Kronenberg, and the sound of Elsinore, and Holger Danske, far down in the cellar, with his beard rooted to the table, and dreaming of everything that was passing above him. And Holger Danske did dream of the little humble room in which the image carver sat. He heard all that had been said, and nodded in his dream, saying, Ah, yes, remember me, you Danish people. Keep me in your memory. I will come to you in your hour of need. The bright morning lights shone over Kronenberg, and the wind brought the sound of the hunting horn across from the neighboring shores. The ship sailed by and saluted the castle with the boom of the cannon, and Kronenberg returned the salute, boom, boom! But the roaring cannons did not awake Holger Danske, for they only meant good morning and thank you. They must fire in another fashion before he wakes. But wake he will, for there is energy yet in the Holger Danske. The end. Clap, 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 clap. Clap, clap, clap. Yay! But yes, it is. I think it's a cute story. I think it's very cute. Like you guys. You guys are also cute. But that's beside the point. Bedtime story? Yes. Bedtime story. You can now fall asleep as you please. Get some rest. Okay? Get some rest. You lost the competition? I'm sorry, Sue. I'm sorry, Zuby. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Hopefully this is distracting enough then for you. Because I think at this point you probably don't want to think about what happened anymore. So we'll move past it already, unless you want to talk about what happened. And I'll try to be engaging with stories and fun to listen to, so that you feel better. But yes, that sucks. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know. I thought the story was cute. I thought Holger Danske was cute. Didn't have like real meaning to it. It just had sort of cuteness to it. Just thought the whole thing was cute, I guess. But I guess I think a lot of things are cute. So my definition of cute might be kind of skewed. The next story is called The Bell. The bell... I'm trying to think of how to explain it. The bell makes people go on a journey. The bell has others go set out on a journey. And that is about as much as I can really describe of it. Because that's really the whole story. The story is basically the beauty of the world and the journey, not the result, I guess. Good morning, Sumio. Good morning. Wait, hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Many hellos. Many hellos. Trying to fix it. Okay. It's a very nice message. Yes, it is. It is. Okay. You guys ready for the bell? How many stories have we gone through already? Looks like 4. Yeah, we've gone through 4 stories already. So this is story number 5. I wonder if I should put a number in front of the story names. Or maybe not. Maybe you shouldn't. Anyways. Ready? Nice. Okay. The bell. Wait, what is this letter? What is this letter? I can't see. Ah, it's an I. Okay. In the narrow streets of a large town, people often heard in the evening, when the sun was setting, and his last rays gave a golden tint to the chimney pots, a strange noise which resembled the sound of a church bell. It only lasted an instant, for it was lost in the continual roar of traffic and the hum of voices which rose from the town. The evening bell is ringing, people used to say. The sun is setting. Wait. Why did I just lose my spot? Those who walked outside the town, where the houses were less crowded and interspersed by gardens and little fields, saw the evening sky much better, and heard the sound of the bell much more clearly. It seemed as though the sound came from a church, deep in the calm, fragrant wood, and thither... Really? Thither's a word? Huh? Thither people looked with devout feelings. A considerable time elapsed. One said to the other, I really wonder if there is a church out in the wood. The bell has indeed a strange, sweet sound. Shall we go there and see what the cause of this is? The rich drove, the poor walked, but the way seemed to be to them extraordinarily long. And when they arrived at a number of willow trees on the border of the wood, they sat down, looked up into the great branches, and thought they were now really in the wood. A confectioner for the town also came out and put up a stall there. Then came another confectioner, who hung a bell over his stall, which was covered with pitch to protect it from the rain, but the clapper was wanting. When the people came home, they used to say that it had been very romantic, and that really means something else than merely taking tea. 3 persons declared that they had gone as far as the end of the wood. They had always heard the strange sound, but there it seemed to them as if it came from the town. One of them wrote verses about the bell, and said that it was like the voice of a mother speaking to an intelligent and beloved child. No tune, he said, was sweeter than the sound of the bell. The emperor of the country heard it, and declared that he who would really find out where the sound came from should receive the title of bell ringer to the world, even if there was no bell at all. Now many went out into the wood and for the sake of this splendid birth, but only one of them came back with some sort of explanation. None of them had gone far out enough, nor had he, and he said that the sound of the bell came from a large owl in a hollow tree. It was a wisdom owl, which continually knocked its head against the tree, but he was unable to say with certainty whether its head or the hollow of the tree trunk was the cause of the noise. He was appointed bell ringer to the world, and wrote every year a short dissertation on the owl, but by this means people did not become any wiser than they had been before. It was just confirmation day. The clergyman... Sorry, I'm getting comfy. Oh, my cat's right underneath my feet. Hi, Yellows. Give her some pets. Try not to step on her. Where was I? The clergyman had delivered a beautiful and touching sermon. The candidates were deeply moved by it. It was indeed a very important day for them. They were all at once transformed from mere children to grown-up people. The childish soul was to fly over, as it were, into a more reasonable being. The sun shone most brightly, and the sound of the great unknown bell was heard more distinctly than ever. They had a mind to go thither, all 3 of them. It feels like every time I say thither, then I'm going to start developing a lisp. I feel like the rest of my words are going to have like TH sounds to it. One of them wished to go home and try on her ball dress. This very dress and the ball were the cause of her being confirmed this time. Otherwise she would not have been allowed to go. The second, a poor boy, had borrowed a coat and a pair of boots from the son of his landlord to be confirmed in, and he had to go return them at a certain time. The third said that he had never went into strange places if his parents were not with him. He had always been a good child, and wished to remain so, even after being confirmed. And they ought not to tease him for this. They, however, did all the same. These 3, therefore, did not go. The others went on. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and the confirmed children sang too, holding each other by the hands, for they had no position yet, and they were all equal in the eyes of God. 2 of the smallest soon became tired and returned to the town. 2 little girls sat down and made garlands of flowers. They, therefore, did not go on. When the others arrived at the willow trees, where the confectioner had put up his stall, they said, "Now that we are out here, the bell does not in reality exist. It is only something that people imagine." Does the story have a happy ending? It actually does. It doesn't... It's not like a super happy ending, but it is a happy ending. No one dies, no one gets hurt. Nothing really majorly happens. So I would say, by definition of older fairy tales, that yes, it has a happy ending. Also, yes, wisdom owl, except not really. I'm gonna take a drink since I took a pause. Sorry. But yes, it has a happy ending. No. Okay. Then suddenly the sound of the bell was heard so beautifully and solemnly that from the wood that 4 or 5 made up their minds to go still further on. The wood was very thickly grown. It was difficult to advance. Wood lilies and anemones grew almost too high, flowering convolvully, and the brambles were hanging like garlands from tree to tree, while the nightingales were singing and the sunbeams played. That was very beautiful, but the way was unfit for the girls. They would have torn their dresses. Large rocks, covered with moss of various hues, were lying about. The fresh spring water ripped forth with a peculiar sound. "I don't think that can be the bell," said one of the confirmed children. And then he lay down and listened. "We must try to find out if it is." And then he remained and let the others walk on. They came to a hut built of the bark of trees and branches. A large crabapple tree spread its branches over it, as if it were intended to pour all its fruit upon the roof, upon which roses were blooming. The long bough was covered with a gable, where a little bell was hanging. Was this the one they had heard? All agreed that it must be so, except the one who said that the bell was too small and too thin to be heard at such a distance, that it had a quite different sound to that which had so touched men's hearts. He was the king's son, and therefore the others. What? Oh, he who spoke was the king's son, and therefore the others said that such a one always wishes to be cleverer than the other people. Therefore they let him go alone, and as he walked on, the solitude of the wood produced a feeling of reverence in his breast. But still he heard the little bell about which the others rejoiced, and sometimes, when the wind blew in that direction, he could hear the sounds from the confectioner's stall, where the others were singing at tea. But the deep sounds of the bell were much stronger. Soon it seemed to him as if an organ played an accompaniment. The sound came from the left, from the side where the heart is. Now something rustled among the bushes, and a little boy stood before the king's son, in wooden shoes and such a short jacket. The sleeves did not reach his wrists. They knew each other. The boy was the one who had not been able to go with him, because he had to take the coat and boots back to the landlord's son. That he had done, and started again in his wooden shoes and old clothes. The sound of the bell was too enticing. He felt he must go on.
"We might go together,"
said the king's son. But the poor boy with the wooden shoes was quite ashamed. He pulled the short sleeves of his jacket, and said he was afraid he could not walk so fast. Besides, he was of opinion that the bell ought to be sought at the right, for there was all that was grand and magnificent.
"Then we shall not meet,"
said the king's son, nodding to the poor boy, who went into the deepest part of the wood, where the thorns tore at his shabby clothes, and scratched his hands, face, and feet until they bled. The king's son also received several good scratches, but the sun was shining on his way, and it is he whom we will follow now, for he was a quick fellow.
"I will and must find the bell,"
said he,
"if I have to go to the end of the world."
Ugly monkeys sat high in the branches and clenched their teeth. "Shall we beat him?" they said. "Shall we thrash him? He is the king's son." But he walked on undaunted, deeper and deeper into the wood, where the most wonderful flowers were growing. There were standing white lilies, star lilies with blood-red stamens, sky blue tulips shining when the wind moved them, apple trees covered with apples like large, glittering soap bubbles. Only think of how resplendent these trees were in the sunshine. All around were beautiful green meadows, where hart and hind played in the grass. There grew magnificent oaks and beech trees, and if the bark was split off any of them, long blades of grass grew out of the clefts. There were also large, smooth lakes in the wood, on which the swans were swinging about and flapping their wings. The king's son often stood still and listened. Sometimes he thought that the sound of the bell rose up to him out of one of these deep lakes, but soon he found that this was a mistake. The bell was swinging still farther in the wood. Then the sun set, and the clouds were as red as fire. It became dark and quiet in the wood. He sank down on his knees, sang an evening hymn, and said,
I shall never find what I'm looking for, now that the sun is setting, and the dark night is approaching. Yet I may perhaps see the round sun once more before he disappears beneath the horizon. I will climb up these rocks. They're as high as the highest trees.
And then, taking hold of the creepers and roots, he climbed up on the wet stones, where water snakes were wriggling and the toads, as it were, barked at him. He reached the top before the sun, seen from such a height, had quite set.
Oh, what splendor!
The sea, the great majestic sea, which was rolling its long waves against the shore, stretched out before him, and the sun was standing like a large, bright altar. And there, where the sea and heaven met, all melted together in the most glowing colors. The wood was singing, and his heart too. The whole of nature was one large holy church, and in which the trees and hovering clouds formed the pillars. The flowers and grass, the woven velvet carpet, and heaven itself was the great cupola. Up there the flame color vanished as soon as the sun disappeared, but millions of stars were lighted. Diamond lamps were shining, and the king's son stretched out his arms towards the heavens, towards the sea, and towards the wood. Then suddenly the poor boy, with a short-sleeved jacket and the wooden shoes, appeared. He had arrived just as quickly on the road as he had chosen, and they ran towards each other and took one another's hands in the great cathedral of nature and poesy, and above them sounded the invisible holy bell. Happy spirits surrounded them, singing hallelujahs and rejoicing. There we go. That's it. That is it. That's the end of the bell. The end. Nature and stuff. Nature's pretty. That's the theme of the story. Nature. Heck yeah. Hydrate. Okay. What does character swap do? It's meant for when I play a WoW. That's what character swap does. Character swap is something that is not related to my model, as people seem to think it is. It is not me swapping personalities, not me swapping models. It is literally just me swapping in-game characters when I play WoW. You gonna take a nap now, Zuri? Goodbye, Zuri. Have a nice nap. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Sleep well. Sleep well. Went to a new tab for a second and we thought we raided someone? Definitely not. Definitely not. Go nature? Yeah, go nature, yay. Okay, what is the next story? Let's see. The next story is literally called Grandmother. Like, I'm not even joking. All it says is grandmother. There you go. Let's fix it. Yep, grandmother. Whose grandmother? I don't remember. It's just grandmother. Could be your grandmother. Could be mine. Could be this guy's grandma. Who knows? Guess we'll find out. You'll never get to use to my voice range, but at the same time you like it. Thank you! Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I'm glad. It's okay if you don't get used to it. That's part of the fun. You bet someone dies in it? Well, you're not wrong, actually. I didn't even take like 5 seconds and someone dies. Like, I literally casually glanced at the story and yeah. Are you a nerd? Feel like to look up these fairy tales? What do you mean? Read along as if you're reading them a lot? Nope, that's okay. Nope, that doesn't make you a nerd. It just means that you're fully invested. It's like having an audiobook open. with the subtitles. The version's wording is slightly different. I put it down in different tone changes. That's funny. You need my deepest voice? I don't want to ruin my throat. I do not want to ruin my throat, and I cannot possess a deep voice upon prompt. It is not doable. I get too embarrassed. It's like performance anxiety, okay? Don't give me performance anxiety. Thank you. Thank you. No performance anxiety. Do a Batman voice? I think I haven't... I feel like I've done like feminine Batman when I was voice acting for Shadowlands. Where is she? What? You guys are confusing. You guys are dorks. For you guys, I'm not giving you a Batman voice. No, I'm not Batman. You guys are Batman, as far as I'm aware, unless you guys want to confess anything right now. Unless you guys would like to confess that you're actually Batman, in which, okay. Nice to meet you. But, no. No. You can't all claim to be Batman, okay? There's only one Batman. As far, actually there's not one Batman. If you consider, like, different universes. How many Batmans are there? I don't like care enough, to be honest. Someone probably knows. And open a stream one day and just hear the most voice that you've never heard before. I don't really know how to do that type of voice, to be honest. I don't really know. I'd have to like practice it and think about it, and I feel like I can't do it. I assume it's like a sultry voice, and I don't think I can possess a sultry voice. Where's Rachel? Rachel's in here. Rachel's not here. Okay. This isn't where we're hiding Rachel. Rachel isn't kidnapped here. Thank you. Thank you. Get open my eyes. I've gotten really sleepy all of a sudden. So 100 channel points redemption that does us that.
What? I don't remember this.
There's ooh and there's oh. There's tongue twisters and stretches, but not here. Also, you have 800 channel points. I warned you guys that don't do channel point redemptions. Insane. I feel like, did I not write a note for it? Let me see. I guess I didn't specify enough about it. I guess I didn't specify clearly what character swap does. That's my bad. No, I'm not adding in it. I don't plan on adding it in, to be honest. I don't think I do a very good job of saying that. I think it's I feel like my impression is very disappointing, to be honest. I don't have quite the right voice for it. I know that it makes people happy. That's what I think. Makes people really, really happy. But, no. I don't know, I feel weird saying it. I feel really, really weird. Like, I've tried it, and it just comes out wrong. Wrong. I can speak, I promise. It comes out wrong. I guess. But yeah. Uwu? Good uwu morning, Lantern. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good uwu. Actually, no, that'd be more like oh morning. Good morning, though. Uwu. Good morning, uwu. Good morning, period, uwu. Add that little face at the end. Oh, whoa. Oh, whoa, what's this? Yes, hello. It's 4 a.m. It is 4 a.m. It's 4:27. I barely slept today. I slept like 3 hours today, which isn't that unusual for me. But it was really terrible 3 hours. It was like the worst nap I've ever had. Ugh. This is besides the point, though. Yeah, rub my eyes and wake up. Anyways. You guys are ready to hear about grandmother with the spoilers? Because yes, someone dies. So you're very short story. It's okay. Me sleeping badly. I don't even sound sleepy right now, so it's fine. We haven't reached the point of impossibility, of incoherence. And as long as you guys can understand what I'm reading, then whether or not I'm sleepy, doesn't matter. You don't know why you're still awake? I don't know why you're still awake either, Nim. Stop being awake, okay? Just fall asleep, Fivehead. Just fall asleep. It's that easy. I'm kidding, it's not that easy. This comes from a person who tosses for like 2 hours. It's never that easy. Ready? Okay, let me take a drink first. Okay. Grandmother. How long is this? Actually, this is pretty short. Yes, grandmother. Grandmother is very old. Her face is wrinkled, and her hair is quite white. But her eyes are like 2 stars, and they have a mild, gentle expression in them when they look at you. Which does... Wait, what? Sorry, I'm rubbing my eyes way too much to read. They have a mild, gentle expression in them when they look at you, which does you good. She wears a dress of heavy, rich silk with large flowers written onto it, and it rustles when she moves. Then she can tell the most wonderful stories. Grandmother knows a great deal, for she was alive before her father and mother. That's quite certain. She has a hymn book with large silver clasps, in which she often reads. And in the book, between the leaves, lies a rose, quite fine and dry. It is not so pretty as the roses which are standing in the glass, and she smiles at it most pleasantly, and tears even come into her eyes. I wonder why grandmother looks at the withered flower in that old book that way. Do you know? Why, when grandmother's tears fall upon the rose, and she is looking at it, the rose revives and fills the room with its fragrance. The walls vanish as if in a mist, and all around her is a glorious green wood, where in summer the sunlight streams through thick foliage. And grandmother, why, she is young again, a charming maiden, fresh as a rose, with round, rosy cheeks, fair, bright ringlets, and a figure pretty and graceful. But the eyes, those mild, saintly eyes, they are the same. They have been left to grandmother. At her side is a young man, tall and strong. He gives her a rose and she smiles. Grandmother cannot smile like that now. Yes, she is smiling at the memory of that day, and many thoughts and recollections of the past. But the handsome young man is gone, and the rose has withered in the old book, and grandmother is sitting there, again an old woman, looking down upon the withered rose in the book. Grandmother is dead now. She has been sitting in her armchair, telling us a long, beautiful tale. When it was finished, she said she was tired, and leaned her head back to sleep a while. We could hear her gentle breathing as she slept. Gradually became quieter and calmer, and on her countenance beamed happiness and peace. It was as if lighted up with a ray of sunshine. She smiled once more, and then people said she was dead. She was laid in a black coffin, looking mild and beautiful in the white folds of the shrouded linen, though her eyes were closed. But every wrinkle had vanished. Her hair looked silvery and white, and all around her mouth lingered a sweet smile. We did not feel at all afraid to look at the corpse of her who had been such a dear, good grandmother. The hymn book, in which the rose still lay, was placed under her head, for so she had wished it. Then they buried grandmother. On the grave, close by the churchyard wall, they planted a rose tree. It was soon full of roses, and the nightingale sat among the flowers and sang over the grave. From the organ in the church sounded the music, and the words of the beautiful psalms, which were written in the old book under the head of the dead one. The moon shone down upon the grave, but the dead was not there. Every child could go safely, even at night, and pluck a rose from the tree by the churchyard wall. The dead know more than we do who are living. They know what a terror would come upon us if such a strange thing were to happen to them. If such a strange thing were to happen, as the appearance of a dead person among us. They are better off than we are. The dead return no more. The earth has been heaped on the coffin, and it is earth only that lies within it. The leaves of the hymn book are dust, and the rose, with all its recollections, has come with the dust also. But over the grave fresh roses bloom, the nightingale sings, and the organ sounds. There still lives a remembrance of an old grandmother, with the loving, gentle eyes that always looked young. Eyes can never die. ours will once again behold dear grandmother, young and beautiful as when, for the first time, she kissed the fresh red rose that is now with us in the grave. The end. Rest in peace, Grandma. Rest in peace. Sounds like she had a good life, at least. If she dies with a smile. So if she dies in her sleep. It's actually pretty nice. It was a cute story, even if it was kind of sad that she's dead. Not really a happy ending? Yeah, exactly. It was depressing, but wholesome. Indeed. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Can't listen to my voice if you guys are asleep. Hey. Don't worry about it. It's bedtime. It's literally 4 a.m. Everyone should be asleep by now except me. I gotta read bedtime stories. The Danish were a dark and melancholic bunch, yes. Most of these stories have death or a sad ending. You can't exactly expect like happy Disney movies. Movie type stories. There's no happy ending. No princess kisses the prince without a price. If only it were that easy. Sorry about the start. I literally like started rubbing my eyes and I couldn't see. Because the rubbing was OP. There you go. You can't sleep until this Japanese VTuber birthday is over? And this scene is over and this scene is over and then you sleep? Hopefully. I'm only going for another 25 minutes. So hopefully the Japanese VTuber birthday also ends very soon for you, JMO. If you refuse to go to bed. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully you don't have to stay up too long. Okay. The next story is called The Darning Needle. If I remember right, the Darning Needle is about a cocky needle who ends up getting wrecked, I think. That's all as much as I remember about it. You're getting tired, so you're gonna head off? Bye, Nim! Goodbye. Thank you for stopping by. Sleep well. Have a nice rest of your night before you pass out. Bye. You right? You didn't do the work, so you take it tomorrow? I was right. You were doing... I told you, JMO. I told you to get started on it. I told you that if you didn't start now, then you just put it off. And next thing you know, you'll be doing it the night before. I hate being right, but it is what it is. Hopefully, you get your work done today. Well, not today, after you rest before you leave, but stop putting it off, is what I'm saying, essentially. Stop putting it off. You're doing yourself no good. You're only bringing forth extra suffering. Maybe you like suffering, though. That's not my business. Okay, yes, anyways. How long is this story? We have... looks like at least 2 stories left. Definitely this story. 1 story after. And then we'll see how the time is there. I don't know how much longer I can stay awake anyways. I'm putting myself to sleep. Okay, anyways. Are you guys ready for the Darning Needle? I don't think the Darning Needle has a happy ending either. I think the Darning Needle gets its comeuppance. For having an attitude, I guess. I think. I'm pretty sure. Bedtime stories work, yeah. They are indeed working. They're working very, very severely. They're working a little too well. Yes. They're working way too well. Anyways. The Darning Needle. There was once a Darning Needle who thought herself so fine that she fancied she must be fit for embroidery. "Hold me tight," she would say to the fingers when they took her up Don't let me fall. If you do, I shall never be found again. I am so very fine.
That's your opinion, isn't it?
Said the fingers, as they seized round her body. See, I am coming with a train, said the darning needle, drawing a long thread after her. There was no knot in the thread. The fingers then placed the point of the needle against the cook's slipper. There was a crack in the upper leather, which had to be sewn together. What coarse work, said the darning needle. I shall never get through. I shall break. I am breaking. And sure enough, she broke. Did I not say so? Said the darning needle. I know I am too fine for such work as that.
This needle is quite useless for sewing now,
said the fingers, but they still held it fast, and the cook dropped some sealing wax on the needle and fastened her handkerchief with it in front. So now I'm a breastpin, said the darning needle. I know very well I should come to honor some day. Merit is sure to rise. And she laughed quietly to herself, for of course no one ever saw a darning needle laugh. Then she sat as proudly as if she were in a state coach, and looked all around her. Maybe allowed to ask if you are made of gold? She inquired of her neighbor, a pin. You have quite a very pretty appearance, and a curious head, though you are rather small. You must take pains to grow, for it is not everyone who has sealing wax dropped upon him. And as she spoke, the darning needle drew herself up so proudly that she fell out of the handkerchief right into the sink, which the cook was cleaning. Now I'm going on a journey, said the needle, as she floated away with the dirty water. I do hope I shall not be lost. But she really was lost in a gutter. I'm too fine for this world, said the darning needle. And she lay in the gutter. But I know who I am, and that is always some comfort. So the darning needle kept up her proud behavior, and did not lose her good humor. Then there floated over her all sorts of things, chips and straws, and pieces of old newspaper. See how they sail, said the darning needle. They do not know what is under them. I am here, and I shall stick. See, there goes a chip, thinking of nothing in the world but himself, only a chip. There's a straw going by now. How he turns and twists about. Don't be thinking too much of yourself, or you may run a chance. Or you may chance to run against a stone. There swims a piece of newspaper. What is written upon it has been forgotten long ago. You give yourself airs. I say it patiently and quietly, for I know who I am, and I shall not move. One day, something lying close to the darning needle glittered so splendidly that she thought it was a diamond, yet it was only a piece of broken bottle. The darning needle spoke to it because it sparkled, and represented herself as a breastpin. I suppose you're really a diamond, she said.
Why, yes, something of the kind,
he replied. And so each believed the other to be very valuable, and they began to talk about the world and the conceited people in it. I have been in a lady's workbox, said the darning needle, and this lady was the cook. She had on each hand 5 fingers, and anything so conceited as these 5 fingers I have never seen, that they were only employed to take me out of the box, to put me back again.
Were they not highborn?
Highborn, said the darning needle. No, indeed, but so haughty. There are 5 brothers, all born fingers. They kept very proudly together, though they were of different lengths. The one who stood first in rank was named the thumb. He was short and thick, and had only one joint in his back, and therefore could make but one bow. But he said if he were cut off of the man's hand, the man would be unfit for a soldier. Sweet Tooth, his neighbor, dipped himself in a sweet or sour, pointed to the sun and moon, and formed the letters when the fingers wrote. Long Man, the middle finger, looked over the heads of the others. Gold Band, the next finger, wore a golden circlet round his waist, and little Playman did nothing at all, seemed proud of it. They were boasters, and boasters they will remain, and therefore I left them.
Now we sit here and glitter,
said the broken bottle. At the same moment, more water streamed into the gutter, and so that it overflowed, and the piece of bottle was carried away. So he is promoted, said the darning needle. Well, I remain here. I am too fine, but that is my pride, and what do I care? And so she sat, her pride, and had many such thoughts as these. I could almost fancy that it came from a sunbeam. I am so fine. Seems as if the sunbeams are always looking out for me from under the water. Ah, I am so fine that even my mother cannot find me. Had I still my old eye, which is broken off, I believe I should weep. But no, I would not do that. It is not genteel to cry. One day, a couple of street boys were paddling in the gutter, where they sometimes found old nails, farthings, and other treasures. It was dirty work, but they took great pleasure in it. "Hello!" cried one.
"Here's a fellow for you."
"I am not a fellow. I am a young lady," said the dying needle, but no one heard her. The sealing wax had come off, and she was quite black, but black makes a person look slender, so she thought herself even finer than before.
"Here comes an eggshell sailing along,"
said one of the boys, so they stuck the dying needle into the eggshell. "White walls, and I am black myself," said the dying needle. "That looks well. Now I can be seen, but I shall hope I not to be seasick, or I shall break again." She was not seasick, and she did not break. It is a good thing that against seasickness to have a steel stomach, not forget one's importance. Now my seasickness has passed. Delicate people can bear a great deal. Crack went the eggshell, as a wagon passed over it. "Good heavens, how it crushes," said the dying needle. "I shall be sick now. I am breaking." But she did not break, though the wagon went over her, and she lay full length, and there let her lie. The end. I actually thought that the dying needle ended up breaking, like, totally breaking. But I guess not. I thought it, like, totally, completely broke. But I guess my memory failed me. Oh, well. Oh, well, oh, well, oh, well. The story, like, really set it up that she was gonna die. But, alas. Wow, this is a really short story. So next story. Yes, she's just gonna lay there. That's all it is. She's staying there. For who knows how long, basically. Literally, who knows how long. Maybe another day. Maybe forever. Maybe she's buried into the dirt. It is what it is. It is what it is. The next story is called The Sunbeam and the Captive. I don't even remember what the story is about, to be honest. Like, not even in any capacity. Are you gonna go to sleep now? You have a great rest of your stream? Thank you! I don't plan on streaming my song anyways, so you won't be missing out on much. At best, you'll miss like 1 or 2 stories. Well, you'll definitely miss one. But at best, you'll maybe miss a second. Anyways, good night, Yui! Good night, good night, good night! Rest up after your travels. Goodbye. Farewell. And see you later. Bye, bye. Bye. Yes. The Sunbeam and the Captive. Yeah, I don't even remotely remember what the story is about. It could literally be about anything. I mean, obviously it's gonna be about a Sunbeam. Obviously it's gonna be about a Captive, but more than that, it is something that my brain cannot process, I suppose. This is a very short story. Very, very, very short. Very short. Yes. The Sunbeam and the Captive. It is autumn. We stand on the ramparts and look out over the sea. We look at numerous ships to the Swedish coast on the opposite side of the Sound, rising far above the surface of the waters which mirror the glow of the evening sky. Behind us, the wood is sharply defined. Mighty trees surround us, and yellow leaves flutter down from the branches. Below, at the foot of the wall, stands a gloomy-looking building enclosed in palisades. Palisades? The space between is narrow and dark, but still more dismal must it be behind the iron gratings in the wall which cover the narrow loopholes, or windows. For in these dungeons, the most depraved of the criminals are confined. A ray of the setting sun shoots out into the bare cells of one of the captives, for God's sun shines upon the evil and the good. The hardened criminal casts an impatient look at the bright ray. Then, a little bird flies toward the grating, for the birds twitter to the just as well as to the unjust. He only cries, "Tweet, tweet!" and then perches himself near the grating, flutters his wings, pegs a feather from one of them, puffs himself out, and sets his feathers on end round his breast and throat. The bad chained man looks upon him, and a more gentle expression comes into his hard face. In his breast there rises a thought which he himself cannot rightly analyze, but the thought has some connection with the sunbeam, with the bird, with a scent of violets, which goes luxuriantly in spring at the foot of the wall. Then there comes the sound of the hunter's horn, merry and full. The little bird starts and flies away. The sunbeam gradually vanishes, and again there is darkness in the room, in the heart of that bad man. So the sun had shone into that heart, and the twittering of the bird had touched it. Sound on, ye glorious strains of the hunter's horn. Continue your stirring tones, for the evening is mild, and the surface of the sea, heaving slowly and calmly, is as smooth as a mirror. The end. It's literally it. Ta-da! Short story is very short. Rest in peace. Prison tree. Rest in peace. Literally rest in peace. Sorry, my voice is cracked. Literally rest in peace. Yeah, wow is right. Indeed. Indeed. The next story is also relatively short. Looking at it. The next story is probably like 6 minutes long. That was cute though. A dark man touched by the wonders of nature? Well, it's probably because... It's probably because... if you're in prison for a very long time, naturally, you're going to like appreciate the small beauties of the world, I guess. Like, you're not gonna realize, it's like the saying of you don't realize what you've lost until it's too late, sort of thing. So like the things that you don't appreciate that are like everyday to you, suddenly become far more important, I suppose. Far more important. I can't. I'm trying to adjust the list. But yeah, anyways, yeah. What is the story called? The next story is called The Almshouse Window. The Almshouse Window. The almshouse is, I believe, a name of... My brain just turned off, I'm so sorry. The almshouse is the name of, like, a group of people, I believe. As in, like, actual characters in the story, if that makes sense. Sorry that my brain is turning off. I do not mean it. It's trying to activate, okay? Give it a bit of a break. It's trying, it's working. But yes, this story is relatively small as well. Not small, but short. But yes. Go on. There you go. Okay. Yes, I gotta change the tail for this as well. Okay, we fix the size, and then we'll read the last story. And we could talk for like 5 minutes. Stop auto walking. Doesn't help. Just free form it. I don't want you to lock to something random. Please. Please. You know what? Fine. I'll adjust it a little bit more up. Whoa. That was a little too much. That was just like... No. I hate how the text keeps trying to lock. It keeps trying to lock itself to like the bottom of the thing. And it like actually kind of frustrates me. Because I don't... Goodness gracious. Come on. It's not that big of a deal. Please. Please. Why? Okay, what about... Let me start from the side. This is literally the slowest creep ever. Anyways, as I slowly press the left arrow, let's move on to By the Almshouse Window, which was in 1847. So we have now moved up a couple years in the timeline of Forbidden Works. Come on. Where did it go? It's like snail's pace. Please tell me that looks good. It moves? Yes, that's me moving it. That is literally me moving it. Okay. Last story. Last story. But the words moonwalk, yeah, the words are slowly sliding. Painfully slowly sliding. Indeed. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. Anyways. Anyways. By the Almshouse Window. Near the grass-covered vampire which encircles Copenhagen, lies a grey-red house. Balsams and other flowers greet us from the long rows of windows in the house, whose interior is sufficiently poverty-stricken, and poor and old are the people who inhabit it. The building is the Wharton Almshouse. Look! At the window there leans an old maid. She plucks the withered leaf from the balsam. I don't know why I keep saying balsam. And looks at the grass-covered rampart, on which many children are playing. What is the old maid thinking of? A whole life drama is unfolding itself before her inward gaze. Is this her speaking? I can't actually tell if this is her speaking. Is this? Oh, wow, she rambles. Holy heck. The poor little children, how happy they are! How merrily they play and romp together! What red cheeks and what angel's eyes! They have no shoes nor stockings. They dance in the green rampart, just in the place where, according to the old story, the ground always sank in, and where a sportive, frolicsome child had been lured by means of flowers, toys, and sweetmeats to an open grave ready dug for it, and afterwards closed over the child, and from that moment, the old story says, the ground gave way no longer, the mound remained firm and fast, and was quickly covered with green turf. The little people who now play on that spot know nothing of the old tale, else they would fancy they heard a child crying deep below the earth, and the dewdrops on each blade of grass would be to them tears of woe. Nor did they know anything of the Danish king who, here, in the face of the upcoming foe, took an oath before all his trembling courtiers they would hold out with the citizens of his capital, and die here in his nest. They know nothing of the men who fought here, or of the women who from here have drenched with boiling water the enemy, clad in white, and biting in the snow to surprise the city. No, the poor little ones are playing with light, childish spirits. Play on, thou little maiden. Soon the years will come, yes, those glorious years. The priestly hands have been laid on the candidates for confirmation. Hand in hand they walk upon the green rampart. Thou hast a white frock on. It has cost thy mother much labor. It is only cut down for thee out of a larger dress. You will also wear a red shawl. What if it hang to what? Question mark? And what if it hang too far down? People will only see how very large it is. You are thinking of your dress, and of the giver of all good, so glorious it is to wander on the green rampart. And as the years roll by, they have no lack of dark days, but you have your cheerful young spirit. You've gained a friend, you not know how. You met how often. You walk together on the rampart in the fresh spring, on the high days and holidays, when all the world come out to walk upon the ramparts, and all the bells of the church steeples seem to be singing a song of praise for the upcoming spring. Scarcely have the violets come forth, but there on the rampart, just opposite the beautiful castle of Rosenberg, there is a tree bright with the first green buds. Every year this tree sends forth fresh green shoots. Alas, it is not so with the human heart. Dark mists, more in number than those that cover the dark northern skies, cloud the human heart. Poor child, thy friend's bridal chamber is a black coffin, and thou becomest an old maid. From the almshouse window, behind the balsams, thou shalt look on the merry children at play. Thou shalt see thine own history renewed. And that is the life drama that passes before the old maiden while she looks out upon the rampart, the green sunny rampart, where the children, with their red cheeks and bare shoeless feet, are rejoicing merrily, like the other free little birds. The end! Yay! The end. The end. The end. The end. It's a tongue twister. I don't know why I can't pronounce balsams. I just want to say balsams or something. It's a little bit frustrating, but I can't really do anything about it. Made out a full-on speech? I know. That's why I looked ahead, because I saw the quote and I was like, wow, this is a lot. But surely this isn't the whole freaking story. No, it was the whole story. She had a lot to say. Clearly, she doesn't get to talk to people very often. Which is a big feels bad. 2 hours went by fast, actually? Yes, actually you did. I agree. Normally it feels like it takes way longer. But it went by really quickly today. Which isn't a bad thing. I hope that everyone enjoyed story time today. Surprisingly, my throat isn't actually dead. Which is kind of a miracle in itself, I think. Knowing my throat is completely wrecked by the end of it. Yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm sorry that the Tuesday stream ended up totally falling apart. Because that really bothers me. I like having storytime streams, but I don't like having to cancel streams or anything of the sort. That sort of thing bothers me. Yes, the throat is fine for once. Anyways, I am gonna go pass out in bed because I am really, really sleepy. Yes, Windows is a dick. I rechanged the update timer so that it is during times that I never stream. So hopefully we don't have this problem again. I really, really, really hope we don't have this problem again. But yes, anyways. Good night, everyone. Good night. No raid tonight. I'm not gonna cancel you guys off. There's none of my friends that are streaming right now. No one that I previously have raided. You'll pass out too when everything is fine here? You mean the birthday VTuber? The Japanese birthday VTuber? Because that sounds like... Because that was the original plan, JMO. I know that you wanted to stay up for the Japanese VTuber, which is understandable. P.S. Good night, everyone. Goodbye. Farewell. Oh, there's stuff with him. Oh, yes, that's right. I'm so sorry. Yes. Yes, I hope that... I definitely hope that you don't have to wait too much longer. That is... unbelievably awful. And I don't envy you, as terrible as that sounds. So I hope that things settle down and that you can rest soon and not have to wait too much. You don't deserve having to deal with it. Okay? You don't deserve it. But it makes you a good person for staying up and trying to keep an eye on her. So I hope everything goes well, at least better soon, even if it can't go well. Anyways, good night, everyone. Good night. Goodbye. Farewell. Next stream will be on Monday at 5 p.m. 5:30 p.m. PDT, 8:30 p.m. EDT. 0:30 GMT. 0. It will probably be Castle Nathria because of the Tuesday stream being cancelled. So next week will be another double Castle Nathria week. And then I'll probably play more Genshin afterwards. We'll see how it goes. No guarantees. Depends on how I feel. But yes, good night.